Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Adeptus Custodes as we get into some lore. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And of course, if you have any suggestions, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Shadowkeepers. The Shadowkeepers, known also as the Wardens of the Dark Cells, are a shield host of the Adeptus Custodes, who are charged with the vitally important task of standing eternal vigil over the Dark Cells. Many human mythologies, both ancient and the product of the collapse of civilizations on thousands of worlds during the Age of Strife, carry legends of the apocalyptic wars of the gods, in whose aftermath terrible weapons are left upon the desolate battlefield for the gods' inheritors to find. At the height of humanity's ancient dominion, during the age of technology, unbridled and recklessly potent human science had unlocked maraud potentials within the human genome, as well as releasing forbidden technological terrors upon humanity, as it suited the whims of the scientist kings of the Lost Age. Nowhere was this more apparent than on ancient Earth itself, the seat and capital of the ancient empire, and storehouse of its secrets. For centuries, such dreaded secrets slumbered. In forgotten bunkers and armored vaults lay the masterless gene looms and autosurgical chambers of the dark age of technology, waiting for the ignorant and the power-hungry to set them to work once more to bloody and ill-reckoned purposes. The end result of this inevitable rediscovery was a world already plunged in violent anarchy and environmental collapse, made infinitely worse by the abused powers of those lost gods and devils of ancient science. These outcomes included genetically tailored warfare, desperate schemes at blood-bought immortality and power, and hulking grotesquerie of once human shock troops driven into battle by the ambition of crazed warlords. Mutation, monstrosity, disease, and death unimaginable were let loose by the warlord's lust for conquest. Such was Terra's long night. During the bloody years of the Unification Wars, when the Emperor launched his campaign to finally crush the last of the techno-barbarian warlords and tyrants that had held sway over mankind during the Old Night, during the galaxy-wide campaign to reunite his desperate worlds of mankind, the Emperor encountered many technological terrors, unholy constructs, and vile entities created by both human and Xenos alike, as if they had been dredged up from pure nightmare. The Emperor knew that such aberrant technology could not be allowed to fall into the hands of the unwary, nor could such foul aberrations be allowed to walk amongst the worlds of mankind, for they would be humanity's inevitable downfall. In his wisdom, the Emperor charged a detachment of his own legal custodes to act as both wardens and gaolers, to hold eternal vigil over the horrors they had encountered, and to lock them away beneath the massive Imperial Palace complex on Terra itself. These items and captured entities would be sequestered to the vaults of Rython, where they would be held within the rune-locked portals and warded by the power of sanctic circles, forbidden to all except their eternal guardians, so-called Warders of Rython, and the Emperor himself. 10 millennia later, to the shield host of the Adeptus Custodes, known as the Shadowkeepers, falls the sacred duty of standing guard over the Dark Cells, a particularly sequestered and forbidden subdivision of the deep levels below the Imperial Palace complex on Terra, until the end of time. The Shadowkeepers hold the keys to the rune-locked portals hidden beneath the Imperial Palace. They alone know the ways by which the runic locks may be disengaged, the wards unbound, and the sanctic circles breached. They alone know that these things must never happen, for the Dark Cells hold such horrors at bay that mankind's sanity would not survive their release. A full shield host is devoted to this grim responsibility. Over 100 custodians patrolling the dark and silent corridors, watching over the last terrors of Old Night. It is a task that would drive most men mad, for though neither sight nor sound can escape the forbidden cells, The air of those corridors is charged with dread. A perpetual menace thickens the shadows and makes them crawl. Even the superhumans of the Adeptus Custodes are forever on edge in those dark corridors, for the sense of unspeakable threat never wanes. It is a testament to the discipline and spiritual fortitude of the Shadowkeepers that they stand their guard unflinching, sometimes for solar decades at a time. The ranks of this shield host include many custodian wardens, whose oath of protection helped them to focus upon the task at hand, to the exclusion of all else. The leaders of this forbidding sentries carry ancient weapons of mysterious provenance, their use intended as last resort should anything ever break free from the dark cells. For 10,000 standard years, the Shadowkeepers have performed their duty, yet the opening of the Great Rift changed everything, with the powers of chaos spilling raw and seething into the space between the stars. New abominations have come to light. Worse still are the cells that stand suddenly empty, the entities and artifacts once contained within, spirited away by some unholy force to curse the galaxy once more. Fearing the consequences of such dreaded remnants of the Age of Strife falling into the wrong hands, the Shadowkeepers at last sent warriors out into the galaxy. Not since the dark times of the Horus Heresy, during the burning of Prospero, has the shield host deployed in mass. In this darkest of ages, these jailers must trammel that which could not be, slaughtering all who seek to impede them, before returning their foul prize to the cells where they belong. There have been many Custodes shield captains charged with the mastery of the Shadowkeepers. This appointment confers the title of Lock Warden, a name that is born in perpetuity and garners solemn respect from every other member of the 10,000. The Lock Warden must be the sternest of all guardians, the most unrelenting and alert on the face of Terra. Moreover, should any creature or relic escape the dark cell, or newly emerged threat need to be imprisoned therein, it is the duty of the Lock Warden to personally oversee the operation. The current incumbent of this position is Shield Captain Borsa Thursk, who has been Lock Warden for a century and a half. He is a grim and frighteningly intense warrior, whose utter fearlessness and steel vigilance make him ideal for this role. It speaks volumes about the dire conditions of the galaxy that Thursk has left Terra but twice before the breaking of the storm. Yet he has barely set foot there since the Great Rift yawned wide. Whispers engulf Terra, beginning with the disappearance of the notoriously conservative Captain General Galahoth. Battling the stagnation of Galahoth's rule, the Adeptus Custodes find themselves facing a shocking increase in cult activity, both heretical and xenophile, throughout the Sol system. Doomsday sects trigger Q wars between the pilgrim tribes within the Emperor's palace itself, and the custodians are forced to exercise their authority in the bloodiest fights they have seen in centuries. Reports from the dark cells cite a growing sense of agitation amongst the hidden inmates, and numerous support servitors have to be destroyed by the Shadowkeepers after they exhibit sudden violent madness. And those were 40 facts on the Shadowkeepers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The concept of these dark cells is really badass. I wonder if like the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail are somewhere deep within the dark cells. Maybe it was some type of like ancient technology that ancient man had possession of, because the story goes that if you had possession of the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant, like the armies would walk into battle and they would always win as long as they were holding the Ark of the Covenant, which was supposed to hold I think it's both of the tablets of the 10 Commandments, but it's just a really cool, interesting concept, and yeah, I wonder if that's there. It also sheds some light as to why the Adeptus Custodes are actually leaving the Imperial Palace and going to Terra. Makes sense. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever social media you guys use. And if you want to support us a little bit more, jump on over to Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps out the channel. But you already know that, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.